Chapter 19, The Inventing Room, Everlasting Gobstoppers and Hair Toffee. When Mr. Wonka shouted, "Stop the boat," the Oompa Loompas jammed their oars into the river and backed the water furiously. The boat stopped. The Oompa Loompas guided the boat alongside the red door. On the door, it said, "Inventing Room, Private, Keep Out." Mr. Wonka took a key from his pocket and leaned over the side of the boat and put the key in the keyhole. "This is the most important room in the entire factory," he said. "All my most secrets, new inventions are cooking and simmering in here." Old Ficklegerber would give his front teeth to be allowed inside just for 3 minutes. So would Prodnose and Slugworth and all the other rotten chocolate makers. But now listen to me. I want no messing about when you go in there. No touching, no meddling, no tasting. Is that agreed? "Yes, yes," the children cried. "We won't touch a thing." "Up to now," Mr. Wonka said, "nobody else, not even an Oompa Loompa, has ever been allowed in here." He opened the door and stepped out of the boat into the room. The 4 children and their parents all scrambled out after them. "Don't touch," shouted Mr. Wonka, "and don't knock anything over." Charlie stared around the gigantic room in which now he found himself. The place was like a witch's kitchen. All about black metal pots were boiling and bubbling on huge stoves, and the kettles were hissing and pans were sizzling, and strange iron machines were clanking and sputtering, and there were pipes running all over the ceiling and walls, and the whole place was filled with smoke and steam and delicious rich smells. Mr. Wonka himself suddenly became even more excited than usual, and anyone could see that this was a room he loved best of all. He was hopping about among the saucepans and machines like a child among his Christmas presents, not knowing which thing to look at first. He lifted the lid of it from a huge pot and took a sniff, then rushed over and dipped his finger into a barrel of sticky yellow stuff, and he tasted it. Then he skipped across to one of the machines and turned half a dozen knobs this way and that, and then he peered anxiously through the glass door of the gigantic oven, rubbing his hands and crackling with delight at what he saw inside. Then he ran over to another machine, small shiny affair that kept going, put, 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 and every time it went put, a large green marble dropped out of it into a basket and onto the floor. At least it looked like a marble. "Everlasting gobstoppers," cried Mr. Wonka proudly. "They're completely new. I'm inventing them for the children who are given very little pocket money. You can put an everlasting gobstopper in your mouth, and you can suck it and suck it, and suck it and suck it, and suck it and suck it, and it will never get any smaller." "It's like gum," cried Violet Beauregard. "It's not like gum," Mr. Wonka said. "Gum is for chewing, and if you tried to chew one of these gobstoppers here, you'd break your teeth off. But they taste terrific, and they change color once a week, and they never get any smaller. They never disappear. Never. At least I don't think they do. They're one of them being tested this very moment in the testing room next door. And Oompa Loompa is sucking it. He's been sucking it for nearly a year now without stopping, and it's still just as good as ever. Now over here," Mr. Wonka went on, skipping excitedly across the room to the opposite wall. "Over here, I'm inventing a completely new line of toffees." He stopped beside the large saucepan. The saucepan was full of thick, gooey, purplish, boiling liquid, boiling and bubbling. By standing on his toes, little Charlie could see inside it. "That's hair toffee," cried Mr. Wonka. "You eat just one bite of that tiny bite of that, and in exactly half an hour, a brand new, luscious, thick, silky, beautiful crop of hair will start growing over the top of your head, and mustache, and beard." "A beard!" cried Veruca. "Who wants a beard, for heaven's sakes?" "It would suit you very well," said Mr. Wonka, "but unfortunately the mixture's not quite right. I got it too strong. It works well. I tried it on an Oompa Loompa yesterday in the testing room, and immediately a huge beard started shooting out of his chin, and the beard grew so fast that soon it was trailing all over the floor in a thick, hairy carpet. It was growing so fast that we couldn't cut it, and in the end we had to use lawnmower to keep up with it. But I'll get the mixture right soon, and when I do, there will be no excuse anymore for little boys and girls to go about with bald heads." "But Mr. Wonka," said Mike Teavee, "little boys and girls never do go with—" "Don't argue, my dear child. Please don't argue," cried Mr. Wonka. "It's such a waste of precious time. Now over here, if you will all step this way, I will show you something I'm terrifically proud of. And oh, do be careful. Don't knock anything over. Stand back."